Hi, my name is Dr. Faria Bukhari. I'm doing this video in order to talk to the Biden administration directly in regards to the ongoing escalation of violence in Gaza on behalf of their personal interests. They have unleashed a crusade, an unholy crusade, at the whim of their investors, but now things are going totally out of control as predicted. And I'm wondering if the investors actually want them to lose the upcoming elections, and that's why they had them convinced to start this crusade. First of all, things have gotten to an extent where we are now talking about an imminent nuclear attack. Not just an Israeli minister has asked to nuke Gaza, but also US has reinforced the wishes of this right-wing Israeli minister by sending a nuke submarine to the Middle East. Basically, US has said, yeah, you want to nuke Gaza? Sure, go ahead, and we will send our nuclear submarine to help you out with that. This is how bad things are. I have been telling everybody in the US and in the Western countries that this is the Harry Truman moment. This is the moment when Hiroshima and Nagasaki were nuked. We are on the verge of another nuclear attack somewhere in the world. We don't know as yet, but somewhere in the world it's going to happen. One of the potential targets is Pakistan, because they have been planning to get Pakistan nuked via India for a long time. Another potential target is Ukraine, because there are a lot of hidden, covert nuclear installations since the breakup of USSR in Ukraine that have yet to be neutralized and removed. And the third target now, as I say these words, which was not a target previously, is Gaza. So why do they want to do this? First of all, whatever is going on is not going on in favor of Biden politically. It may work out very well for him. It may have worked out financially very well for him, that he sold himself to the military-industrial complex. He sold himself to these radical and right-wing KKK like organizations who want to restart a crusade against Islam, and who want to eliminate Islam and invade Muslim countries and just destroy them. It may have worked well for them and for him financially, but in terms of political consequences, Biden is not doing well. There was a large mass movement shown this weekend in Washington, D.C., where Biden was confronted directly and told to stop. And he was threatened that he's not going to be made the president of US again. He's going to lose the elections. So who is benefiting from all of this? First of all, let's be very objective about it. I'm talking to the Biden administration. You are going to lose 2024. You had a chance, because Trump started to say his Islamophobia rhetoric and his weird stuff that he comes up with. People don't like him because of that. He then started to say he's going to deport the students who are protesting in favor of Palestine. He started to call them terrorists. So things were kind of going a little bit in your favor, but then all of a sudden you guys do something totally out of the blue. And now you are in a situation where you're going to lose it all. You're not going to be the president of the United States in the coming elections. Even if you start a third world war, the Americans are not going to buy it from you. And unless there is a third plan in action, which is that, which I suspect is most likely what's going to happen. And that is what I'm here to talk about today. the third plan is that the elite are going to try to impose a martial law in US. And how is that going to happen? First of all, the US administration, the ruling regime, not just the Democrats, but also the Republicans, both of them together have refused to listen to the American people. 66% in an independent poll want an immediate ceasefire, but nobody is listening in the US Congress. Representative Cori Bush, she processed a resolution a long time ago, and it has only been signed by a handful of politicians. And so look at the audacity of the entire, look at how stubborn and how determined these so-called crusaders are, that they really want this war. And they want it so bad that they are willing to go to any extent, even if they have to station a nuke submarine in the Middle East, and give a message to the rest of the world that now US is here with its nukes on the coast of Gaza, and if you try to do anything misadventurous, you're going to be nuked. So this is how desperate US has become. These rulers, the corrupt ruling regime has become, that they're willing to go to any extent to be able to get their way. And then I have already reiterated that this war was never to get the hostages released. If they wanted to get the hostages released, they would have used mediation, dialogue, and conversation as a mode of action. But we have seen they've just done the opposite. They said they're going to go for a full-on crusade. They're going to invade Gaza. They're going to decimate it, carpet bomb it, disregarding the very important concern that if they're going to carpet bomb Gaza, they're going to also carpet bomb the hostages who are currently in control of Hamas. And Hamas has already said that 60 hostages have been killed by the carpet bombing of US administration, Biden administration. So Biden is out there to kill not just the children of Gaza, but also the hostages. 60 would have been alive today if Biden had acted responsibly and had sought mediation, had sought dialogue, and listened to people and listened to reason. Right now, the State Department of US is in a state of mutiny. As I say these words, the entire US staff working under these corrupt politicians is divided. And there is a state of mutiny going on within the White House right now. People are upset. People are angry that their powers are being abused to escalate a genocide that didn't have to be committed. And that is not even working from a military point of view. In 1 month, after bombing Gaza nonstop, and after martyring 10,000 civilians, that includes UNRWA workers, that includes journalists, that includes doctors, that includes paramedics, after demolishing churches, after demolishing mosques, after demolishing schools, after demolishing UNRWA warehouses, after blocking all kinds of aid and water and food and electricity and fuel, after destroying Gaza in 1 month, using maximum force against it, they have yet to conquer or, arrest Hamas. They have not been able to do anything tangible against Hamas. Hamas is out there. Hamas has complete control of Gaza. And the entire military strategy of the Biden administration, along with Rishi Sunak, along with Macron, along with Olaf Scholz, along with Meloni, Mattarella, along with Ursula, it has failed miserably. You have not been able to get a single hostage released. The only 4 were released, and those were released on grounds of humanitarian causes. That they were old, and they were children, and they were like women, and so they were released. You were not able to get anybody released with all the maximum force, and in 1 month, that you have used against poor civilians of Gaza. Hamas is still out there, and what you have technically done is that you have not just triggered a retaliation from Hamas, but you have also activated a lot of Hamas-like groups in the Middle East. So now we have Hamas-like groups in Iraq who are threatening to attack the U.S. military base. Now we have Hamas-like groups in various areas in the Middle East, wherever the U.S. Military installations are. They're going to attack them, and it's going to be like a whole another charade of volatility and escalation. People are going to die. So what has Biden achieved out of all of this? First of all, he has lost his chances of becoming the next president of the United States. He's lost it. People of US are not with him. They are not going to vote for him because this could have been handled in a better way. This could have been managed in a much better way. Mediation could have been achieved. Dialogue could have been achieved. Two-state solution could have been reiterated, renegotiated. Peaceful exchange of prisoners could have been achieved, where Hamas wanted the release of the Palestinians who are currently under extrajudicial detention of Israel. Those could have been released in exchange for these hostages, and not a single bullet had to be fired from any side. This could have been done easily. Turkey offered that. Qatar offered that. A lot of the countries offered this mediation, but this was not achieved. And instead, Biden decided to go for a hawkish, tough response, retaliation with maximum force. And we are seeing today that after 30 days of maximum force, he has not been able to release a single hostage. In fact, he's directly responsible for the death of 60 hostages. And if we prosecuted Biden for the murder of these 60 hostages in any US court today, Biden is going to lose that trial. If Trump decides, as the opposition leader, to impeach Biden on the grounds of being responsible for the death, the untimely death of these 60 hostages today, due to his callous, due to his reckless, due to his irresponsible decisions, Trump is going to win. Biden could easily be impeached. Biden could be removed from the office if Trump sought that route. Since the Democrats have already attacked the Trump family, and he's been facing a lot of indictments one after another, there's always a possibility that Trump may, under pressure, try to start an impeachment trial against Biden for the murder of the 60 hostages who could have been retrieved, who could have been alive today if Biden had acted responsibly. This is something that could be coming. So first of all, Biden is going to not be able to win the next election because the American people are not with him. Second, he may not even complete his tenure because there's a strong possibility that the US opposition leader, Trump, may try to process an impeachment trial against Biden over his recklessness that has led to the untimely death of 60 hostages who could have been alive today if Biden had acted responsibly, if Biden had listened to his allies like Turkey, Erdogan, who wanted to end this entire feud over the table, over a conference table with dialogue. If Biden had listened to its ally in Qatar and listened to mediation and dialogue and sat down on a table with the Hamas leadership to discuss the terms of exchange of prisoners, this could have been achieved within like 48 hours, but that route was not even taken up. And now after 29 to 30 days of complete maximum force, you now have not just the carnage of 10,000 civilians who are now no more. You also have a loss of 60 hostages for whom you started this war, allegedly. So that is the other. So the second is that Biden could lose his tenure before it even completes. If Trump starts acting, aggressively against him, he has a very good ground over which he could impeach Biden for being responsible for the loss of 60 hostages. So that's the second thing that the Biden administration has achieved after 30 days of maximum force. The third thing that is very important, that's going to decide the future of US, is that when you have 66 to 70% of the US wanting something so bad, so desperately, and you see your rulers and you see your ruling regime, the entire US Congress, except for like probably 20 parliamentarians, no senators, but just the House reps, standing for you, what happens eventually? For the last 30 days, there have been mass protests in almost every nook and corner of US. And these were not staged by just the Muslims. These were staged by people from all kinds of community. Capitol Hill got blocked by the American Jews. Washington, D.C., White House got blocked by the American Jews who were unarmed, who were trying to do a peaceful protest. We have a lot of Americans from various communities, even the Native Americans, the African Americans. They are coming up and they are advocating for the rights of the Palestinian people. And they want an immediate ceasefire, and they don't want to be part of this genocide. So what happens when you have such a high number of people, we're talking about millions now, within the US, who are trying to advocate for the civil rights of the people of Palestine, and who want the Israeli aggression and the war crimes and the atrocities to stop, and who want US to stop funding, stop arming, stop backing such an apartheid regime in Israel? What will happen? The voices are going to get louder. If Biden continues to ignore them, they're going to get louder. They blocked the Capitol Hill. They blocked the White House. The next step is civil rights. Rights are going to start happening. People, when they don't get their rights rightfully, in the right way, peacefully, then comes resistance. So resistance is going to start. So how does the resistance start? How does it start? People are going to divide. Just like during the Trump time, we were always worried about people dividing, hate coming out, and haters came out. And we saw that how some Muslim Americans have already been targeted. So what's going to happen? This is what's going to happen. The escalation against Muslims is going to go up. The escalation of violence against Muslims within US, within UK, within Germany, France, Italy, within the rest of the European countries is going to go up like this. The graph is going to go up. And as the graph goes up, no matter how much Biden sits in the Oval Office and says, oh, I do not condone to Islamophobia, the graph is going to go up. The haters have their lids off, their hate, and they want to be part of this so-called unholy crusade that has been initiated by Biden, no matter how much he denies it. The crusade is going to hit US. It has already started. The hate crimes are going up against the Muslim communities. And when that happens, then the pro-Muslim Americans, which are quite a few, millions of them, who are also participating in these peaceful protests, they are also going to have to pick up arms in the defense of the Muslims and in the defense of the minorities. So when that, just like when we saw this happen during the Black Lives Matter movement, BLM movement. So when you have so much of division and so much polarity within a community, within a nation, this is probably going to escalate to the same point as the North and South Civil War that was fought in the US over the issue of slavery. So we are going to have peaceful American people who are right now protesting peacefully for Palestinian rights, to be able to live, to be treated like humans. Most likely, once the escalation of violence continues against Muslim communities, against minorities, against the Palestinian Americans, they're going to have to take up arms to be able to defend these Palestinian Americans, because they are most likely going to be led to believe, which is going to be staged by the elite, that the state machinery has failed. So when they take up arms, which most likely they'll have to, and they are like two sides, two polarities, fighting a civil war against each other, the elite are going to use this as a justification to impose a martial law. So Biden will not be able to complete his tenure because a martial law will be announced. A civil war could happen within the next 30 days or within the next 60 days. We don't know. If this continued, a civil war is happening, within US at least, because the crusade, so-called crusaders, the KKK-like organizations, KKK itself, they're going to get really activated. This is their opportunity. This is what they have been working for. This is their time to take the lid off the haters and unleash it upon the Americans who do not suit their ideologies, who they don't like, who they think are different. So this is what's going to happen. A civil war is going to be instigated and is going to be used as a justification to impose a martial law within the US. And Biden is going to lose his office, and the martial law will be brought upon, and then a new system is going to be introduced within the US that will remove all kinds of democratic representation of the American people. So a civil war will work in favor of the elite because they've been planning this, they've been trying to have it for a long time so that they can use it as a justification to bring in a martial law and enslave the millions of Americans forever. So this will be their opportunity, and so everything has been staged and planned. This war did not happen overnight. This did not happen overnight. It was planned a long time ago by the elite. So this is how the Biden administration is going to lose again. It's going to go down in the history as the administration that ended democracy in US and converted it into a Soviet Union-like communist state. So that's where we are heading. So that's one third thing, that's how Biden is going to be incriminated as a war criminal and as a baby butcher of Gaza, and also as the person who actually precipitated the end of democracy within the US, and who facilitated and mediated and who sponsored and armed and funded the civil war within the US. This is coming. Americans have weapons. Every other American household has a weapon, okay? So once the lives are targeted like this, the escalation of violence continues against the minorities, we are looking at Americans picking up arms and shooting each other. And the state is going to act as if, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? When you have two polarities, when you have two sides shooting guns, shooting weapons, shooting bullets at each other, what are you going to do? How are you going to be able to achieve peace? The lid is off. The Pandora box is opened up. All the worms are out. You cannot hide this anymore. You have millions who hate Muslims or who hate minorities, not just Muslims, who hate African Americans, who hate Native Americans, who hate anybody who is non-white. And then you have millions who do not hate and who would go to any extent to protect the rights of those minorities. And when the fight happens, both are going to fight. And both are going to have to pick up arms. Obviously, the radical extremist ISIS-like mentality of, who KKK-owned organizations, they believe in arms, they believe in escalation of violence, so they're going to do that. But then the Americans who do not believe in weapons and arms, they will have to do something to try to stop ISIS-like extremist radicals. You know what I mean? So a civil war is going to erupt. It has been fought before over the issue of slavery. It can be fought again. And it's going to destroy US as an empire. It is going to end Biden's rule. It's also going to make Biden go down in history as the president who ended democracy in US, who facilitated a civil war in US, and who's responsible for the genocide of people of Gaza. So, and also for unleashing an unholy crusade, not just within the Middle East, but also within US. And we have seen in the past that whatever US does gets replicated in Canada, in Australia, in UK, and in France, Germany, Italy, and rest of the European Union. So it gets replicated. So this is going to happen once in the US it starts. It's going to just spread like fire to the rest of the European Union and the Commonwealth nations. So, this is coming. You cannot avoid it. Now, these are the three things that I mentioned, okay? Now, the fourth thing is that Biden has decided to strengthen the very irresponsible, callous statement of the Israeli minister who says that he wants to nuke Gaza. Biden has supported his statement by sending a sub in the Middle East that has nukes on it. Now, Iran has the capacity to make nukes. This is a known fact, okay? This has already been written up by the leading strategists of US that Iran has the capacity to make nukes. It has enough plutonium, uranium, you just name it. It has the scientists who know how to do it. And its leading nuclear scientists have already interviewed and said they can do it within a couple of hours. So when you're in the state of war, you have to understand that if they're saying it in an interview openly, publicly, they have they have hidden nuclear arsenal. So you're bringing your nuclear sub in the Middle East when things are so heated up, when you are callously unleashing a bloody crusade against the people of Gaza, when you've already martyred 10,000 civilians of Gaza, when you have violated every Geneva Convention, when you have basically destroyed everything that was decided in the international community in the last 7 decades after the inception of United Nations, when you have literally told the world that this is a jungle and you're the king and you can get away and do whatever you want. So you are on top of that, you're bringing your nuked sub, not nuke sub, but a sub containing nukes in the periphery of Gaza. And one of the Israeli ministers saying that he wants to nuke Gaza. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're not going to take this seriously? Iran is not going to take it seriously. Pakistan is not going to take it seriously. Pakistan is already on the target list of India. The plan has been made to get Pakistan nuked by India. That is why the uranium from India has been smuggled for all these years and has been landing into the hands of terrorist factions or mercenaries, so that eventually they will stage it like, oh, this was a nuclear attack done by TTP within Pakistan, and this was not done by India, and US had nothing to do with it, Biden had nothing to do with it. This just happened because TTP got access to Pakistan's nukes and decided to nuke Pakistan, when the reality would be that India has been smuggling uranium and trying to arm some terrorist factions that are on its paycheck with nukes so that those nukes can be used against Pakistan. So this is happening, this is being done, this has been planned for all these years, and I've done many videos over it. So do you think that Pakistan is going to just stay quiet, watch you just, do all of this quietly? I mean, do you think it's a nuclear state? Iran is a nuclear state unless proven otherwise. And by the way, both of them are good friends with North Korea, that also has most likely nukes. Russia has nukes, and Iran has just written a letter to Russia and China in BRICS to kind of act in favor of Gaza. Russia is a very good partner of Iran. China has nukes, that has already said things in support of Gaza. So you're basically triggering all these nuclear nations to use nukes against Israel and US and the Western countries by escalating the feud, by escalating the conflict. So Biden is the current Harry Truman of United States, unless proven otherwise. I predicted that a long time ago. The day he took oath as the president, I predicted that he's going to unleash a crusade against Islam. I did that very day, and my prediction came true. He did it in his last year. So a nuclear apocalypse is also on the table of the elite to precipitate. They know that the adversaries have nukes. Pakistan has nukes, and Pakistan has already given its stance in favor of Gaza. Iran has nukes. Iran has been one of the biggest adversary of US. And then we also have China, we have Russia. They're all nuclear countries, and they're all currently in the adversary status. So we are looking at a nuclear apocalypse that is going to be precipitated by Biden administration. And it's a very risky thing to do, that you have one minister saying that he's going to nuke Gaza from Israel because it has the backing of the Biden administration. And instead of pulling him back and condemning his statement, Biden supports his statement by sending a sub that has nukes on it in the periphery of Gaza. So this is very irresponsible again, because he really is inviting his adversaries to form a nuclear coalition and kind of be ready for this kind of escalation of nuclear arms in the region. You know what I mean? So this is the fourth thing that I want to talk about, that this is what Biden is going to end up being. He's going to be the Harry Truman. Somewhere is going to nuke someone, and he's going to be the one responsible for doing that. And then what else is Biden going to lose out of everything? He's already losing it. So Bahrain has removed Israeli ministers and ended its diplomatic relations. Qatar on the same lines. Kuwait is also feeling very strongly, and sooner or later I'm pretty sure Kuwait is going to come up with the same stance. We are looking at Oman is feeling really upset. Iraq is already upset, and Iraq and Iran are already uniting over this issue. And like I said, that the Hamas-like groups within all these territories are going to start attacking the military installations of US. So you're not going to be just fighting a war in Ukraine and in Gaza, but you will be fighting a war in Bahrain and in Oman and in Qatar and in Kuwait and in Iraq and most likely Turkey too, because the people of Turkey were right around the corner. They were doing so far they're doing a peaceful protest in front of the US military base, but it may not stay peaceful. If a civil war could erupt within the US, a civil war could erupt within all these countries too, because the people are angry. And even though most of the Gulf nations are under control of monarchies, but from the history of the world, you have seen that no monarchy has the strength to be able to withstand the pressure of the people. So once the people start to rise and they want US military bases out, the monarchies would have no other option left but to tell Biden to get out. We saw what happened in Kabul. It was just happened in 2021. Afghans, they were like, get out of our country. So it's coming. Biden is the leader who's going to make sure through his very interesting policies, so-called hawkish, so-called tough stance. Yeah, he's tough, he's a tough leader, he can do it. He's going to be responsible for getting all military bases ended, capiche, within the Middle East. Period. And for what? Israel? Israel is a joke. Israel is nothing but a joke. In the last 29 days, they have achieved nothing with their escalation. Zero, nada. What have they achieved? Tell me what they have achieved for Biden. What have they achieved for any of their Zionist supporters? Nothing. The idea was to invade Gaza, to be able to occupy it, to be able to claim territories so that illegal settlements can be continued within the northern Gaza. As they are running out of space, they need more space, they need more people to be settled. And what's happening? 60 hostages killed, not by the Hamas people, but by the Israeli regime, by Netanyahu. Those hostages would have been alive today if Netanyahu had acted responsibly and used mediation, used dialogue to be able to retrieve these prisoners of Hamas. So Israel is just a joke, and if Israel is what's dictating Biden administration's policies, it's the end of US as an empire. All the military bases are going to go away. You cannot expect King Abdullah, you cannot expect Mohammed bin Salman, King Salman, you cannot expect Erdogan, you cannot expect Iraqi administration, Egyptian administration, you cannot expect Bahrain administration, you cannot expect Kuwait administration, you cannot expect Qatar administration to withstand the pressure of the people when they want the US military bases to be kicked out of their countries. They will have to listen to their people. You want them to be democratic, right? You've always wanted these monarchies to listen to their people. So they will have to be democratic. They will have to listen to their people. So US military bases are going to be kicked out. And or they could be brought to a point where the Iraqi ruler will have to say, you know what, Biden, we cannot protect your troops anymore. Our people are very angry. And we are a democracy. And we cannot protect your troops anymore because our people are very angry. And it's only a matter of time that a mob of Iraqis, a mob of Bahrainis and Kuwait Arabs in the Arab countries, they're going to go and attack these military bases, attack the troops, and no matter how much arsenal they have, it's going to be a large uprising, and it's going to take away all the military installations of US like a tsunami. And US will have to leave like it left Kabul in a rush. This is going to happen. This is coming. And Biden is doing it. Biden will go down in history as the one who did it, who was responsible for facilitating the removal of all military bases from the Gulf nations, from Iraq, from Turkey, from Egypt. It's coming. It's going to happen. So what have you gained in the 29 days? Now coming to what Hamas has gained, or what the supporters of Palestinians have gained in the 29 days, let me tell you something about Islam. I know a lot of people have a lot of confusion about Islam, that they use words like radical Islam, and they use words like jihadists, Islamists. Let me be very clear about you. We all have our own faiths and our own ideologies. But if you read the Bible, and if you read the Torah, if you read Quran, we believe as Muslims, I'm a Muslim, we believe that all these books have been sent by God, by the same God, Allah. So we respect Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as our last prophet. But we also respect Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. We also respect Prophet Moses, peace be upon him. We consider them to be prophets of Allah. We consider them to be prophets of God. We consider Bible to be a book of God. We consider Torah to be a book of God. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. So in Quran, if you read Quran, and I'm sure some of you who are into religion must have read it, the concept of self-defense has been written very clearly. That if someone tries to oppress you, and if someone tries to subjugate you with force, if someone tries to occupy your house or your country or your nation, and tries to commit atrocities against you, against women, children, then as a Muslim, it is your responsibility to stand up and try to protect those people who are under a state of persecution and oppression. This is clearly written in Quran. There is no doubt about this concept. It is called jihad. And jihad is of many kinds. Jihad can be done with weapons, jihad can be done with words, jihad can be done with just actions. Like BDS is doing jihad too, because BDS is using the route of boycotting Israeli products. Then I am doing jihad too, because I'm using the route of talking and writing, So this is jihad too. People who are doing peaceful protests all over the world, including the Western countries, they are doing jihad too, because this is a form of jihad too. This is a form of resistance. They're trying to save lives. They're trying to save lives of not just the people of Palestine, but also those hostages who have been indiscriminately killed, not by Hamas, but by Israel and by the Biden administration. So what I'm trying to tell you over here is simple. That you cannot expect 2 billion Muslims to change their faith overnight and change the ideology of jihad overnight for you, just because you think you're very powerful and you can station a sub that has nukes on it next to Gaza. So that is one thing that the Muslims believe in, and no matter which category they are from, they are Sunnis, Shias, Brelvis, Wahhabis, Deobandis, they all believe in jihad, period. They all believe in jihad and these things that I've just said. So when you say radical Islam, there is nothing like radical Islam. The concept of self-defense is not just written in the international constitutes of international law that every person, every human has a right of self-defense. It's not just written in the US Constitution that if someone tries to come inside your house and tries to, attack you, you can actually kill that person and get away with it. It is also written in Quran, okay, that Muslims have a right of self-defense. That if you're gonna attack civilians of Gaza, 10,000 civilians, just martyring them indiscriminately, Muslims have a right to self-defense and they have a right to retaliate. So this is one thing. The jihad concept is one thing, okay? It is there. You cannot change it. You cannot have the Muslims rewrite Quran, because Quran cannot be changed. It's a book of God. It is respected, read by 2 billion Muslims, and they're going to do what Quran tells them to do. Just like they say their prayers, they say they give their zakat, they go for pilgrimage, they fast in the month of Ramadan. So they're going to observe jihad in whatever way they can, because it is how their religion is. It is how Islam works. Self-defense is their basic right, and they're going to use it. So the second thing I'm going to talk about in Islam that is probably, I'm not so sure about this because I'm not a religious scholar. I'm just like an average person. But having said that, something I'm going to talk about that is called the concept of martyrdom. To lose your life in the way of righteousness. So if you're trying to support the Palestinian people, and if you are trying to resist against oppression, persecution, subjugation, and you get killed or slaughtered or attacked, assaulted, detained, and then eventually you're killed from that, like the 10,000 civilians of Gaza, then you're martyred. So the concept of martyrdom is also clearly written in Quran. And that concept clearly tells you that it is written in Quran that a martyr never dies. He never dies. He's alive. We just can't see him or her. Okay? So I'm just trying to educate you about Islam. We are all jihadists. 2 billion of us. What are you going to do? Keep on attacking all of us? You're going to attack 2 billion people just because they believe in their right of self-defense? I mean, seriously? You're going to do that? How far are you willing to go? The Crusades have been fought before. Yes, they have been fought. Look at the history of the world history. The Crusades have been fought against Islam before. And we've seen the results of it. You will start a crusade. You've already started a crusade. We will end it. Because we believe in self-defense. We believe in jihad. All of us, 2 billion of us. And we also believe in martyrdom. We don't even believe that the 10,000 civilians whom you killed were killed. Per our belief system, per our ideology, they are still alive. They are heroes. You don't understand. You have to understand Islam to be able to have a clue about what you're doing, what you're trying to achieve, because you haven't been able to achieve anything. If anything, you have made us more powerful globally and also regionally. You're going to lose your military installations all over the Muslim nations, period. And your monarchs who are currently supporting you and trying to withstand the pressure of the people, they will not be able to for long. They will not be able to for long. Because that is how the history has been written again and again and again. No monarchy anywhere can sustain the pressures of its people. UK is a classic example. We saw how the monarchy got changed. We saw France go through this. The European monarchies are now sitting quietly in the back, in the closet. They had no choice but to let their people win to be able to survive. So how do you expect the Gulf monarchies to continue to support you against their own people? The uprisings are going to take your military bases away. Kabul is going to happen, not just in Iraq, but in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Syria, in Oman, in Bahrain, in Qatar, just name it, in UAE, you know. This is all going to happen. I mean, how much can the kings withstand the pressure? I mean, how much can they withstand? How much can they resist? They love their people. They're good kings. I mean, they take good care of the people. The Gulf countries are one of the leading economies of the world. There's hardly any poverty over there. They have good GDPs. They're good kings. They take good care of their people. They don't even tax their people. This is how good they are. How long do you think they're going to be able to withstand the pressure from their people? You want them to observe democracy, right? It is your slogan. You're all the one who's always condemning, oh, why are they monarchies? Why aren't they listening to their people? Why don't they introduce democracy? Why don't they change themselves to democracy? So now they won't have a choice but to listen to their people. So you're going to lose your installations. You're going to lose your military bases. And if there's a mob like there was in Kabul, what are you going to do? American troops are going to lose their lives from the angry outbursts of the people. What are you going to do? What have you gotten US into, Biden? What are you going to do? Who are you doing it for? Money? Seriously? Are you doing it for money? You've already lost everything. In these 29 days, you have lost everything. Muslims want to be martyrs. I want to be a martyr. I would love to be a martyr. Because martyrdom is equivalent to eternal life. And you get to go to the heaven where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is. This is the promise that the martyrs have been given. So every Muslim who has read Quran, who understands Quran, wants to be a martyr, wants to fight against persecution, against subjugation, against oppression, and get killed. So you cannot take away this thing from the Muslims, these two things, jihad and martyrdom, because that's part of their religion, that's part of their ideology. That is Islam. Now, self-defense is not terrorism. What happened on 9/11 was terrorism. What ISIS is doing is terrorism. What Al-Qaeda has been doing is terrorism. What TTP is doing is terrorism. What BLA is doing is terrorism. We do not condone to that. We actually fought against it. We know, we were expecting this to happen. Prophet, peace be upon him, told us about this day, that there will come a time when a group of people are going to stand up and tell you to attack civilian Christians or civilian Jews or civilian non-Muslims and say, oh, they're doing it in the name of Islam. You should not condone to them. So we call them Kharjis. The Kharji means they are out of Islam. So we fight against them. Pakistan has been fighting against them for the last many decades. And Iraq has lost so many people in this fight against terrorism. Iran has lost so many lives in this fight against terrorism. Most of the Gulf nations, they have suffered from terrorism and they have lost lives in this fight against terrorism. So has Afghanistan. They have been fighting against this war against terrorism. So we are all fighting. All of us are fighting. And there is nothing that you can do to change that. We fight ISIS, we fight Al-Qaeda, we fight these terrorist factions, but we will not fight Hamas. We will not fight Hezbollah. Do you understand? Because Hezbollah was created to defend Al-Quds, which is the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Hamas was created to protect Al-Quds, the Mosque of Al-Aqsa, and to protect the lives of the Palestinian children and women. So, categorically, for most Muslims, Hamas is not a terrorist. And Erdogan came up, he has got a strong insight into the faith of Islam. He has read and he's learned a lot. And he's not a scholar, but he has enough knowledge to come on a United Nations platform and tell the world that Hamas is not a terrorist faction. Hamas is the armed resistance wing of the Palestinian state, which is supposed to be a sovereign state as per the UN declaration. So every sovereign state has a right to keep its armed forces. US has an armed force, so do the European Union nations, so do UK, so do Pakistan, so do most of the Gulf countries, so does Iran, and so does any other country in the world. We all have armies, right? So Palestine has its own army. It's a sovereign state, it has its own army, and the name of the army is Hamas. Okay, so for Muslims, Hamas is not a terrorist faction. And no matter how much you're trying to push Hamas as a terrorist faction in front of the Muslims, their minds are not going to change about that. Just like their minds are not going to change about jihad and martyrdom, okay? Period. So you cannot expect us to rewrite Quran, okay? Quran came to us, we read it, and we know it's not going to be changed. So if you go by the declaration of Quran, Hamas is not a terrorist, because Hamas is not attacking innocent installations and innocent people. Hamas is trying to defend itself. It's an armed force of the sovereign state of Palestine. It has even been elected to become a ruler and the government of Palestine. So I don't know, what are you trying to do over here? Just because you say someone is a terrorist does not make that person a terrorist. And after 9/11, we saw that you arrested all these people saying, oh, these are terrorists. And we found out later that they were not even terrorists. They didn't do anything. They were not involved in 9/11. So you were just playing these games, dirty games, to fool American people. And the American people finally found out what you were up to. So the world knows what you were up to in 9/11. Everything has been exposed. WikiLeaks exposed it. Assange exposed it. We all know why you went to Iraq. We all know why you went to Syria. We all know what you're doing. We all know that. The world knows that. And the world is angry now because they don't want to see this bloodshed of 10,000 people. So if you come from the Muslims' point of view, the Muslims are going to continue to sacrifice their lives, their livelihoods, everything, whatever they have in this fight against persecution, oppression, subjugation. We don't care. For us, it's not a loss. You get it? It's not a loss for us. You think you're making us lose people? You think we are feeling like, oh, no, it's not a loss for us. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You are not deterring anybody here. Hamas is not deterred. Hamas has become very powerful. Hamas has now global acknowledgement. Hamas is meeting President Xi. Hamas is meeting President Putin. Hamas is being given honorary receptions all over the world. And you did that. Your policy did that. Got it? This is what Biden you're doing. So listen to Colonel McGregor. He's your colonel. I know he's worked with Trump, but he's giving you very simple, honest, straightforward advice. And half of the things I've said, he's said before. That you're going to lose your military bases. You have basically made your American troops really vulnerable within the Middle Eastern countries. And the monarchies and your dummy regimes are not going to be able to protect your troops from the anger of the people. So what are you going to do? You can station like 20 subs with nukes on them, but you will not be able to save your American troops from the anger of the mob. Just like you were not able to save people when the whole Iranian revolution happened, and you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. And this is not just one aspect of it. There's a whole terrain of things that it's already 1 hour. I've been talking for 1 hour, but I'm just telling you what you have lost and what we have gained as Muslims. For us, martyrdom is a moment of glory. Okay? Period. And then you're going, oh, Faria is a jihadist. Faria is, no, we're all jihadists. Quran says that. We are all jihadists. Live with this fact. Every Muslim is born jihadist. And this is something that we have. And jihad does not mean to go on and attack various nations and various countries and various religions. No. That is not what jihad is. That is terrorism. Jihad is self-defense. You have to have a strong, valid, credible, tangible reason to defend yourself. Have you been persecuted? Yes. Have you been subjugated? Yes. Have you been oppressed? Yes. Have your rights been paralyzed? Yes. Only then you can commit jihad. And this is what Hamas is doing. For the last 7 decades, the two-state solution has been slaughtered by US, not just Biden, by every president of US. It has been massacred with indiscriminate funding, arming, sponsoring of the Israeli apartheid by this non-stop vetoing of every resolution that was processed against Israeli atrocities and war crimes in the UN. So yes, Gaza has been persecuted, Gaza has been subjugated, Gaza has been oppressed, Gaza has been attacked, assaulted, Gaza has been decimated. So Hamas has every right to defend Gaza from this aggression. So Hamas is not a terrorist for the 2 billion Muslims, no matter how much you tell us that it is not. We stand with Hamas. We stand with every group that is trying to protect the lives of Gaza and Palestinian people, that stands for self-defense of these people. We don't think they are terrorists, no matter how much you try to profile them as terrorists. That's all of us. That's 2 billion. How many are going to fight? How many are going to incarcerate? How many are you going to arrest? That's all of us. 2 billion people, 2 billion Muslims all over the world. Are you going to kill all of us just because we believe in self-defense? Just because we would like to be treated as humans? Because every human has a right of self-defense. So why not us? Stop attacking Gaza. Stop attacking Palestinians if you want the self-defense to end. Got it? Bye.